You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
So I had a whole show planned. I did. And we'll probably get to most of it. Anything else we'll cover, bound over. But then we got about news about 45 minutes ago that we've been waiting for, that we've been talking about, and it's finally here. And we'll talk about it right after this on the Dan Wickline Show. So I thought today we were going to be talking about, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania trailer that dropped. I got a big breakdown. I mean, I've got like 3 pages worth of notes and stuff that I noticed. And then they dropped the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special this morning. And I thought, that's what we're going to be. We'll start with that, and then we'll go into Ant-Man. It'll give us a nice full show. By the way, hello, Cool, Slip, and Lyle. Hope everybody else gets here because the big news then dropped about 45 minutes ago. And that news, and I'm going to pull this straight from Deadline, but the Hollywood Reporter has it, Variety has it, they all have it. James Gunn and Peter Safran have been named co-chairman and CEOs of DC Studios. James Gunn and Peter Safran are DC's new Kevin Feige. James frickin' Gunn and Peter Safran. Hey, Ed. Hey, Triple B. Yeah, that just broke about 45 minutes ago, about 1:15. All the sites went with it. I know that sounds a little crazy, but think about it. James Gunn has experience both with Marvel and DC. Peter Safran is the Kevin Feige type I thought they would be looking for. Peter Safran this is the movies he's worked on, okay? As a producer, just to go back, he has 66 producing credits, okay? They go all the way back to 1997. He's been doing this a long time. And a lot of the stuff was small stuff like Sparky Michaela, Blue Like You, Vampires Suck. I mean, and then he produced The Conjuring in 2013, Annabelle, and then Dark Places, Summer Camp, Martyrs, The Conjuring 2, and the Belko experiment. The Belko experiment, of course, was a James Gunn movie. That's where the two of them hooked up. But his time working with James Wan over on Annabelle and The Conjuring brought him over to DC, where he was the producer on Aquaman and Shazam and the Suicide Squad and the Peacemaker TV series. He's also been the producer on the Flatliners reboot, on Valley of the Gods, The Nun, and just on and on and on. He's producer on Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom, upcoming movies, The Last Day on Earth, The Crooked Man, The Nun 2. So he's got that background that I thought would be crucial for to run the studio, to be the Kevin Feige. But then you also bring in James Gunn, who has this shorthand with superheroes and stuff. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy, Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, Slither, the Belko experiment. I mean, this is huge. This really, really is huge. Because this isn't, I didn't think they'd go with a combination, but yeah, that's going to be pretty interesting. Now, I have a feeling the more the day in, the day out stuff, that Kevin Feige type stuff that gets done, is probably Peter Safran, where the creative background of it and stuff like that may be more James Gunn. So maybe there isn't one single Kevin Feige type out there other than Kevin Feige, so they had to merge the two. Slip, we haven't talked about Black Adam. I set up the Black Adam. I gave the background and stuff for it, but I haven't been able to get over to see Black Adam yet because I had surgery on Friday. I'm doing fine, full recovery, no problem, but it's kept me from getting to the theater. So, and yeah, I'm fascinated with this choice. I really am, because I think that it's a different approach, and it's definitely going to make DC unique, because I mean, if you see how much Guardians of the Galaxy influenced the Marvel Universe when those movies came out, there was a little bit of humor in the movies, but they got much bigger going forward. It opened the door for somebody like Taika Waititi. It opened the door for the Russos and all these other people that weren't these big name directors to give them a shot. Kyle says, this is the best news I've heard all week. It's Tuesday, dude. But yeah. Okay, now I know who that is. Let's see. Kyle also says, time for hyperbole from Kyle. DC just released their second best film of all time and now have made the big announcement. DC has positioned itself to win the movie war for the list for the first time since Christopher Reeves was Superman. Wow. Okay, that. I might need a moment. Kyle liked the movie. I didn't think that was possible.
Ironically, Dan, my top two superhero movies of all time are both men with lightning bolts on their chest.
Shazam and
Black Adam. And now, like, when you said James Gunn, I almost fell off my chair. I'm so unbelievably excited by this news because I think this is what DC needed. It needs to stop taking itself so seriously all the time and make some good, fun movies that people can go and enjoy and not remind me how dark Batman has to be all the time.
Yeah.
So I think this is truly a stroke of genius from them bringing in these two people because they are such unique and talented voices in the industry that are really at the edge of what can be done. The only person who's further out there is James Cameron, and then you'd have to make all your superheroes blue. So,
yeah.
I think that this really is like the San Francisco 49ers trading for Christian McCaffrey.
Dude.
I had to.
Dude.
They've gone out and they put the pieces in place now to really make a run. And DC is doing it. So,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, wow, this may get some negative feedback or some people up in arms, but I don't know if you could go further away from Zack Snyder than James Gunn. Or at least the tone that Zack Snyder had for his movies. They were dark, they were gritty, and Gunn has fun with his characters, I think this is a brilliant move if it works. Now, you are putting two people, but they have two people that have worked together before. That helps. The fact that they've did the Belko experiment. They did Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. So they're used to working together. So that's already a plus. But let me pull some from the actual article, because I think some of this stuff is really important. Now, this is not a subsidiary position to the guys running Warner Brothers Films, Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdy. Those are the chairpersons and CEOs of Warner Brothers Film Group, and they'll work closely with them. But Gunn and Safran are basically co-chairmen and chief executive officers of DC Studios. Okay, its own entity under the Warner Brothers thing, separate from the film division. Okay, this is the film group is here. DC Studios or DC Films is its own division. They answer only to David Zaslav, just like Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdy answer to Dave Zaslav. So that's the one thing Zaslav wanted to do, was create this hierarchy that allowed for a Kevin Feige type person to come in, and that's what we get, you know. And they're supposed to spearhead the development and execution of a long-term plan for the many properties licensed from DC Comics, focused on I love this line, focused on continuing tradition of high-quality storytelling from the DC universe, while building a sustainable growth business out of the iconic franchises. So basically, they're doing not just the films, but the television and the animation. That's all going to go under the single banner, and those two are the head of it. Now, Zaslav said, quote, DC has among the most entertaining, powerful, and iconic characters in the world, and I'm thrilled to have the singular and complementary talents of James and Peter joining our world-class team and overseeing the creative direction of the storied DC universe. Their decades of experience in filmmaking, close ties to the creative community, and proven track record thrilling superhero fans around the globe make them uniquely qualified to develop a long-term strategy across film, TV, and animation, and take this iconic franchise to the next level of creative storytelling. Now, that sounds great. Well, if it's not Dan, but I guess they're a good second choice. Oh, thank you, Jay. Between Snyder and Nolan, DC has used up all the black stock film footage left in Hollywood. Nice. Now, Gunn and Safran put out a statement as well. They say, we're honored to be stewards of the DC characters we've loved since we were children. We look forward to collaborating with the most talented writers and directors and actors in the world to create an integrated, multi-layered universe that still allows for the individual expression of the artist involved. Our commitment to Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Harley Quinn, and the rest of the DC stable of characters is only equaled by our commitment to the wonder of human possibilities these characters represent. We're excited to invigorate the theatrical experience around the world, as we'll tell some of the biggest, most beautiful, and grandest stories ever told. We're especially enthusiastic about doing all of the Mike, Pam, Casey Channing, and the whole Warner Brothers Discovery team, and are grateful to David Zaslav, whose bold vision of the future of the franchise we share and allow for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Most of all, we can't wait to bring you all into the story of the DCU. Now, DeLuca and Abdi, who do the Warner Brother films, put this out. We said we could not be more excited to have James Gunn and Peter Safran join the team and assume the leadership of the DC universe. James is a brilliant filmmaker and storyteller, and Peter is tremendously successful and prolific producer, and to have both of them committed to working together to forge a new era for DC is literally a dream come true. We all share a very similar sensibility and passion for this universe, and the stars couldn't have aligned any better. We can't wait to get started, dig in, and collaborate with these unmatched creative minds. All right, guys. Again, I think this is huge. This is a game changer in a lot of ways because, they talked about Dan Lin for a while coming in, and that didn't work out. This is someone this is a pair of people who are steeped in this stuff now. James Gunn, he showed, okay, let's look at Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad. The costumes were really freaking accurate. Peacemaker's costume looks like it came off the comic page. When they did Vigilante for the TV show, also right off the page. Okay. And he put the Superman, Aquaman, Flash, Wonder Woman cameo in Peacemaker. And even though we didn't get to see Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill, it was their version. So, we know Gal Gadot's continuing. We got the announcement yesterday from Henry Cavill that he is back as Superman. So it looks like they're going to take a lot of the stuff that Snyder had set up casting-wise and move forward with it. It doesn't feel like they're going to do a reboot, but it feels like it's going to be a tonal reboot. It's, the tone of Suicide Squad, which this made me immediately think of Taika Waititi. Like, if he wanted to come play in the DC universe now, I think the door would be open to him. But it may not be as wide open as he got to do with Thor. It may be a little more like, okay, you can do this, but you got to be, this is the way where we're going. I think that's a good idea. I think Taika may have had too free of rein on, Taika doing the Creeper. I don't know if we're going to get those minor characters, though. Well, then again, James Gunn. James Gunn made his name basically on taking the Guardians of the Galaxy and then Suicide. Wow. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. What's funny is Peter Safran's name came up a couple weeks back, and I saw somebody online, a guy named John Campia, talking about Peter Safran, and he was talking about the guy and said, he would be a great one to take over the DC job, or the Kevin Feige of DC. And I didn't know that much about Safran, so I started digging into it because I thought, yeah, that's interesting. And as I got to know the character, I'm like, that really would be a good choice. But combining him and James Gunn, that's the only part that I'm kind of questioning, is the two of them working together to make this happen. Again, they've been doing it together and stuff, so I'm hoping it's smooth. Also, I want to see, now that we've got this, how is this going to play out? No, he doesn't mean Jeepers Creepers. He means Jack Ryder, the Creeper from DC Comics. He's a character created by Steve Ditko. A really interesting character. I actually tried to pitch a story once with the Creeper taking over a small South American country. It was a good story, and I really wish I really would love to still do it. Taika for Booster Gold and Blue Beetle movie, that would be fun. That really would be fun. I wonder if we're going to get the Bwahaha Justice League now. Batman one-punching Guy Gardner. That makes me happy. Just the thought of that. Yeah. Again, this is really, really big news. And you know what? I think what we're going to do is, I've got other stuff to do on this show. So we're going to take a break and we're going to come back. We're going to go back to what we're going to talk about, and I'll see what the fallout is, and maybe we'll talk more about this tomorrow. If you guys have any questions specifically, let's talk about it some more tomorrow. But for now, we're going to go to break and we're going to come back. And how do you feel about Boston Brand, the Dead? Oh, love Dead Man. Love the character of Dead Man. All right, break. We'll be right back.
Thanks for tuning into The Experience. Help us out and hit subscribe over on YouTube and click the bell when you do. Need some help? Scan the QR code in the bottom corner. Who would win, Batman or Superman? It's the age-old debate, except it's so much more complicated than that. Nerd Killer Warfare every week on The Experience is your chance to debate other nerds in the questions we've all been asking for years, except we take those debates and turn them up to 11. Go to bit.ly/EXP casting or scan the QR code to be part of the show. Did you know that every Experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
Welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. John, the great thing about a Dead Man movie is it could be a lot like Quantum Leap. So you could do it as it would be an interesting TV show too. But you could get a big name actor to play Dead Man, but you don't have to use him all the time because you only have him when he's out of the body. When he's in the body, you could use other actors. So it would be a more attractive role for certain actors who don't want to make huge commitments. So, plus, like I said, it's kind of Quantum Leap where you jump around to different characters. You could do a lot of different stories. Dead Man's a character that really should get more. They should use more. But then they have a lot of great characters. The Creeper is another great character. I'd love to write the Creeper. I'd love to write Dead Man. But all right, we were talking.
Hey, Dan, real quick. I don't want to disrupt you any more than I normally do. But I just thought it was mentioning because it probably got passed over by all of us in this news. Jules Bass of Rankin and Bass Stop Motion Holiday Classics has passed away today at 87. So we had really good news. This is sad news, but the world is a much better place for all those movies. So I thought it was worth mentioning.
Didn't Rankin just pass away within the last year or so?
I will research that and put it in the comments.
Okay. Because I remember covering that. So, other news today is that going forward, if you're outside of the UK or Ireland, you'll be able to see all the new episodes of Doctor Who, starting with the Returned Doctor. I don't want to, if you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. But if you have seen it, you know. Starting in November, we'll be on Disney Plus. So you'll have another reason to, if you have Disney Plus, you'll get to see new Doctor Who starting in November of 2023. That was just broke today too. Not as big as the James Gunn Saffron news, but okay. Could have sworn it was more recent. All right. I was going to talk about James Gunn today. I really was, but not because of that, but because they dropped the trailer for the next Marvel special presentation, the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, And if you haven't seen the trailer, we're going to run it for you right now. So, Jay, if you would. I don't think I gave him enough warning. He's kind of scrambling back there. He's got to kick the hamster on the different wheel. And, he's got to, Jenna's probably asking questions. And here we go. Don't think we have any sound, Jay. You're muted.
Can we play this one with sound?
I think we can.
Go for it. I'll deal with it on the back end.
Okay.
Let me start it over then. Give me just a second.
I believe the music is in public domain at this point.
In the meantime, Dan, on Thursday, I will be at Retailer Summit. Would you like to cover Retailer Summit for the first 15 minutes of the Thursday show?
Sure.
Cool.
Okay, go for it, Jay. Still no sound. All right.
Give me just a second. I'm not sure what's going on with that.
Okay. This trailer blew my mind this morning when it dropped because I didn't think we would get it so quickly because we just got the Ant-Man trailer yesterday, which we're going to break down in just a couple minutes. But they dropped this today, and also the news that the special is going to drop on November 25th. So right around Thanksgiving, we're going to get a new holiday special. Kyle, if you're still out there, can you tell me when the Star Wars holiday special dropped? Wasn't that also end of November?
Are we talking about Wookiee Life Day?
Yeah.
But the Star Wars holiday special originally aired on... Why do you have to be fundraising, Wikipedia? Why do you have to jump everything down? Originally aired November 17th, 1978.
Okay, so it's about 8 days after that. So again, in November. This is kind of what Marvel came up with the ideas. James Gunn wanted to do a holiday special. Part of it is to connect the dots because originally Guardians 3 was going to come out and have Thor in it. And then Thor Love and Thunder was going to be after. But James Gunn got fired and then brought back. But in the meantime, he hooked up on Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. So he's away for a while. Taika's movie gets moved up. They got to flip-flop things. So I think part of the special is to reconnect the dots. Okay. Is to make it so it makes sense. And then the other part is just to give us what the holiday special was. So,
all right, third time's a charm. Let's see if I got it this time.
Fingers crossed. All right, just let it run. So what they're doing here is they're talking about Quill and the fact that he's really upset, and they decide that Christmas is coming. What they should do is go to Earth and get him a special Christmas gift. But Drax says, instead of something special, how about someone special? And they go to Earth to find the perfect Christmas gift for Peter Quill. And what they decide to get is... You're going to see in just a second. I don't want to ruin it because I loved it. I think it's absolutely brilliant. But it's something that's been talked about. There it is. Kevin Bacon. They're going to Earth to get Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon is Peter Quill's Christmas gift. Oh, and they're introducing Cosmo. Groot's fully grown. Get a chance to watch this with the sound and stuff. You're going to love it. It looks absolutely hilarious. And Kevin Bacon is in the MCU now as Kevin Bacon, just like David Hasselhoff. So David Hasselhoff and Kevin Bacon are themselves in the MCU, which I think is great because now they're up there with also like Megan Thee Stallion of people from our universe that also exist in the MCU. Which is kind of funny because then you have a comedian like Gary Shandling who's not, but because he's a senator and it's real. Let's see. That's what do you get Drax for Christmas if he already has a knife? You get him what he's wearing, a hoodie vest that is careful on his sensitive nipples, because that's why he never wore a shirt before. Now he is. And this is also probably in kind of Dave Bautista didn't want to be shirtless anymore. And that's one of the things he was like, well, I'm done with Drax. So, yeah. He says, that's not like a setup for a joke. It's a reference to the song, What Do You Get a Wookiee for Christmas If He Already Has a Comb? Oh. I don't know that song. Okay. So yeah, that dropped today. We're going to get it on November 25th, and that just made me smile. I was all set that was going to be how we were going to lead the show. We're going to come in with that trailer, and then no. So, okay, let's move on. We're going to break down the Ant-Man trailer, which we got yesterday, which I thought was going to be the big thing of the day. Frickin' these comic stuff is like feast or famine. I didn't know what I was going to do today, just on Sunday, because it's like, I don't know. We don't have She-Hulk. We don't have Rings of Power. What are we going to do? And I haven't been keeping up on House of the Dragon. I like the 6 Degrees of Bacon game. Yes. That's always a good one. But yeah, I love everything about that trailer. It is so James Gunn. It looks like it's going to be so much fun. But, okay, let's put that aside. Let's get into Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer. Now, this one, I think we're also going to have to run it without sound, partly because of what's going on with Jay, but also partly because there's a very expensive song playing through most of it. But we're going to go piece by piece, and I got a bunch of Easter eggs and stuff to tell you. So I'm going to assume that you guys already had a chance to watch the trailer. So we're going to run it without the sound, but I'm going to give you as much info as I can on it. Jay, when you are ready, let's bring that one up. All right. Now, I'll tell you when to stop, Jay. All right, let's go ahead and stop here. Now, the opening of the video shows Scott, as played by Paul Rudd, of course, and his life has changed since the blip. All right. Now, he's a big celebrity now. And this is because, we see him, he's being honored at Baskin-Robbins as the employee of the century when he got fired in the first movie from Baskin-Robbins, and it's even the same manager that fired him. And, he goes from being an ex-con to now the employee of the century. The reason he's getting all of this status is mostly due to him being one of the most accessible Avengers. We learn in Miss Marvel that he has a podcast where most of what the world knows about the Battle of Thanos comes from him. He has that, and he has a book that's going to be coming out. They don't show the book here. They did in the San Diego Comic-Con trailer, but, he's doing a book signing there. So he's been very open and outgoing about what's been going on, and that's where a lot of the information. So he's become one of the biggest Avengers because he's the one that's out there all the time. And he's kind of playing into his celebrity at this point. And again, in the Comic-Con trailer, you get a little bit of a feeling that maybe he's doing that a little too much and not spending that much time with Cassie. So, daddy issues are always a big part of this show, of the MCU. Everybody has daddy issues. Well, here, Hank had his problem with Hope. Now Scott is having a similar problem with Cassie. And I think that's supposed to parallel. And his status is growing, even though the guy at the coffee shop seems to think he's Spider-Man, which also makes me wonder, what do people think of Spider-Man now? And I don't think we're going to get this answered in the movie, but when No Way Home did the spell, did it erase the idea that Mysterio was murdered by Spider-Man? Or is that still there? Are we going to ever find that out? Okay. Roll it. Let's go a little further. So that's Hope. Here's the guy who thinks he's Spider-Man. I think that's great. And here we are. Okay. Stop here. Now, this is where the plot gets important. Now, we see his daughter Cassie has grown up and has learned a bit about quantum physics. Now, Cassie Lang here is being played by Catherine Newton. You might know her from Big Little Lies and Detective Pikachu. Now, she takes over the role from two different actresses who have played her. Abby Ryder Fortson played Cassie in the first two Ant-Man movies. And then in Endgame, they swapped her out with Emma Furman, who played an older Cassie who had not been blipped. So Scott comes back from being trapped in the quantum realm for 5 years and finds an older Cassie. Well, I don't know why. Hey, Kenneth. I don't know why they switched from Emma to Catherine. Maybe they've got big plans for her, like Cassie's going to be part of the Young Avengers that they seem to be building up, and they wanted a more experienced actress. But they have swapped out. So Catherine Newton is the new Cassie Lang. And we see that Cassie and someone else, not specified here, have made this device to send a signal into the quantum realm for people that need help. Now, the reason I say someone is she says, we built this, but doesn't say who. Now, it could be Hope Van Dyne. It could be Hank. It's not Janet. And we see that because her reaction to it is to tell her immediately, turn it off. Janet, of course, being played by Michelle Pfeiffer, who was introduced in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Well, she is very upset. And it's like, no, shut it off. Now, Hope, played by Evangeline Lilly, and Hank, played by Michael Douglas, are kind of surprised by this as well, that she's so adamant about turning this off. Because what is Janet afraid of? We don't know. It could be Kang, or it could be something else in the quantum realm. Now, while that's on, though, before they can shut it off, somebody on the other side uses it to pull them into the quantum realm. And it pulls everybody in. And if you watch closely, and we're going to see, go ahead and roll it a little bit. So here she's explaining it. There's Janet starting to get up, realizing, telling her to shut it off. And here it starts malfunctioning, and you see them all being pulled in. And then there, stop. Cassie goes in. As soon as Cassie goes in, Scott has a good grip. Now, could he hang on the whole time? Who knows? But as soon as Cassie goes in, Scott lets go. He's not going to let his daughter go in there alone. So that, I think, is huge. Okay, let's go a little more. And we get the Marvel logo. And then stop here. All right. This is where they start playing Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John, which is a beautiful song. If you haven't heard it, you should, but it's just an amazing song. And it plays in well here. And this is where Cassie asks where they are. And then go a couple clicks more. This is where she says where we are. Go on. And I'll say when to stop. We start getting some creatures. It's there. Okay, you can stop here. Now, who these are, we don't know. They could be part of Kang's crew. They could be just residents of the quantum realm. It could be anything at this point. We really don't know. Now, before we go too much further, also notice that Cassie and Scott are together, but the others aren't anywhere around. So there's a chance, I think, that these may be two separate journeys, which I also think is very interesting. They split up among family. Scott and Cassie, Hank, Hope, and Janet. Now, let's talk about the choice of song here. This could be very interesting. While it's a heavy allusion to the Wizard of Oz, but the song isn't really about Dorothy. The song is about a talented young man who wants success and finally signs with a manager and a record label, but he soon finds that stardom is not what he thought it would be. He starts feeling trapped in his situation and wishes he had never become famous. So the chorus, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, is basically that person leaving behind the dream of fame and stardom to go back to the simple life they had left, to going back to the farm. This could echo Scott's journey in the MCU. He started off as an ex-con who was trying to help people, was trying to do the right thing, and got arrested. And everything he's done, every time he's tried to help or to be a hero, it's taken him away from his daughter. So every time he's followed his dream of being a hero or being famous, it's separated them. First by prison, and then, he got to spend some time with her, but his house arrest. And now the fame is pulling him from her, and they're in the quantum realm, so he could lose her altogether. So this is him going from being an ex-con to a reluctant, obscure hero to fame that he's, from helping defeat Thanos. And now all of the things he loves are in jeopardy because of it. And they're pulled in there because of Scott. We find that out, or at least Kang's involvement is because of Scott. So everything he's done is put them on this path. Okay, roll some more. Okay, we switch over. Looks like Hope is hiding. And now we're following Janet and Hank. Okay, stop there. All right. When they cut to Janet leading Hank and Hope through the area, she's describing the realm as this kind of secret universe beneath their own. And we have to remember that she was here for like 30 years of our time. How long she was there, her time, we don't know. How does time pass in the quantum realm? That's something we're not exactly sure of, and it looks like it's not consistent. So Janet was in there for 30 years of her life, but did that feel like 30 years? Did it feel like 100 years? Did it feel like 5 years? Where Scott spent like 5 minutes in the quantum realm and 5 years passed on the outside. So did she feel like she was just in there for a couple years? Because she aged also with that 30 years. So there's a lot there to consider. Now, we get to see them riding that winged creature, which I think is cool. And Hope asks Janet what she's so afraid of. And unlike Scott and Cassie, these three spend this trying to hide who they are. So this is obviously Janet afraid of being seen by someone. Is it Kang or is it somebody else? That's, again, kind of an important thing. Now, there's a good chance that I think we're going to get multiple villains in this, not just Kang. Janet and Hope and Hank might have their own problem to deal with here. Now, let's cut again. No, start again. Yeah, this is her. Just roll it. Okay. Cut here. Stop. Okay, first thing, just take a look real quick at that arc right there. What does that remind you guys of? Anybody? The Ten Rings? Maybe Miss Marvel's, the band she uses? There's a good chance this is Chronopolis. But as we get into the city here, this is most likely the one we saw in the background of the previous Ant-Man film. This is probably Chronopolis, which is the city built by Kang. And we get Kang's voiceover here talking about the city. Kang, of course, is being played by Jonathan Majors, who was first introduced to the MCU in Loki. And the series is one of, he was one of Kang's variants, He Who Remains. Here he'll be Kang. There's other variants as well. So, there's always that X factor that, well, this one could be killed off. We could get another Kang, or we get Rama Tut, or we could get Scarlet Centurion. There's always these things, and it always comes back to being Jonathan Majors. Now Kang comes down, and we see him. Oh, let's roll ahead till we see Kang. There we go. Okay, stop there. They have a helmet on him, and there's a face mask, and it makes his face look blue, which is incredibly comic accurate, because that's the whole thing. He's got that blue face helmet on. Now, it's likely that this is just like a shield, and he'll take it off. Sounds like Christopher Nolan's Inception. Time in the dream world can be extended for decades. Yeah, it's possible. That's the thing, is we don't know. But yeah, so I don't think Kang's face is going to be blue. I think it's just a shield. He'll take it off, and I think we see him without the mask on. But it's definitely a nod to Kang's look in the comics. And as we keep going forward, we're going to see this bar that they walk into, and it's got very, these creatures and stuff that look very reminiscent. Here we go. This is like straight out of the cantina in Star Wars, isn't it? Okay, now let's move forward. There's one person I want to specifically key on. There, stop. Bill Murray. Now, yeah, Bill Murray. There's speculation on who Bill Murray is playing. Murray's character has not been officially announced yet, but a lot of people say he's going to be playing this super obscure villain named Krylar, who appeared in one comic, Incredible Hulk number 156, back in July of 1972. It was written by Archie Goodwin, drawn by Herb Trimpe, and the story has the Hulk shrinking into the microverse, because at that time he was visiting this planet called Kai, where he becomes intelligent, and he has this girl there he loves named Jarella. So he has this kind of Savage Hulk world, or where he's almost like Conan, but he's Professor Hulk level intelligence there. And as I said, he shrinks down to the microverse. Now, the microverse is what Marvel called the quantum realm in the comics. It's not something they can use because the microverse is owned by the company that owns the Micronauts. So it's kind of one of their trademarks. Now, when he goes back to see Jarella, the Hulk finds her village has been destroyed, and she's been kidnapped by a neighboring ruler named Vissa. Krylar is a scientist who works for Vissa, and they're all green-skinned, by the way. Hulk totally fits in on Kaya. But Krylar has this machine that can generate a physical embodiment of anyone's deepest fears. Now, Banner's fear, of course, is an out-of-control Hulk, so that's what the machine makes, and Hulk has to fight the out-of-control Hulk, and, of course, Krylar ends up dead by the end of the story. Now, do I think any of that is going to play a factor in here? No. And I'm not 100% convinced that he's going to be Krylar. They may just be borrowing the name, but again, Krylar is just a rumor. Now, there's another theory I heard. And this one I like a little more. I don't have any reason to believe it's true, as in there's no evidence of it, but I think this is, and that is that Murray may be playing one of the other elders of the universe. Now, so far, of course, we've met the Collector, played by Benicio del Toro, and the Grand Master, played by Jeff Goldblum, and Ego the Living Planet also as an elder, played, of course, by Kurt Russell. Now, Murray could be playing another one of them. There are a lot of elders of the universe. There's one that's called Father Time, who I think would be a great one for this because of the time travel involved, stuff like that. So I could see him playing Father Time. But there's a bunch of other ones too. There's the Gardener and the Challenger and Contemplator and the Profiteer and a ton of them. And he does seem to be a bit grandiose looking for the quantum realm, similar to the ways that Del Toro and Goldblum's characters are. So I could totally see him being one of the elders. Plus, I would love if they did one of these holiday specials with the elders of the universe. So then we get a movie or a special with Murray, Goldblum, and Del Toro all in the same scene. And I think that would be absolutely amazing. But let's get back to the trailer. Now, let's go ahead and run it. We're going to get some interesting scenes with multiple Ant-Men, like this here with the giant Ant-Man falling apart. There's Cassie. Okay, stop it. There's another good look at Kang coming down. Now, I don't know about the summit, the larger, but all of this is happening while Kang is making this pitch to Scott to basically ask him for help, saying, you know, you help me and I can help you. I can get your family out of here. So Kang is going to Scott. And at the heart, it looks like the heart of the movie that looks like the franchise is going to be going back to being a heist film. This one just happens to be a heist in the quantum realm. Now, one of the rumors is that the object Kang wants from Scott is to get a chair that would allow him to travel between the multiverses. Maybe something in the possession of the elders of the universe. Maybe that's how Bill Murray's character plays into it. Maybe he's in possession of whatever Kang wants. We'll see. We also get to see Cassie in her uniform. Now, in the comics, she's had multiple names and multiple costumes to go with it. She's been Stature, Ant Girl, Giant Girl, Titan. But the one I'm hearing she's going to be using here is actually Stinger, which is the current one she's using. And the purple in her costume that she wears in this matches the Stinger costume, where all of the other incarnations of her costumes tend to be red as kind of a, you know, like an homage to her father. All right, keep going. Yeah, see, that's the Stature costume, or the Stinger costume. And then we end with this dramatic moment of him asking, what's it going to be, Ant-Man? Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Okay. February 16th. That's my mother's birthday, by the way. Well, so we end with the face-to-face with Kang, and then we get the release date, making... This is going to be the very next Marvel movie after Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And this is going to be the start of Phase 5. The Christmas special ends Phase 5. This is the start of Phase 5. But this is also going to be the big push into the multiverse saga, in the same way that Guardians of the Galaxy pushed Thanos forward in the Infinity Saga. This will bring Kang's profile up more and lead us towards Avengers Kang Dynasty, but we'll probably be seeing more of Kang in between, and then again in Avengers Secret War, making this the first Ant-Man movie that you really can't miss. You know, Slip says, it's pretty amazing that even the most obscure Marvel characters are being fleshed out on the big screen. The name Kang makes me think of the alien Kang and Kodos from The Simpsons. I also thought of Kang from, but I think it's Krang from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, this trailer is different than the one they showed at Comic-Con. And there's a couple of the most noted things left out were Scott's book signing, which they then give him they pick on him for always saying, you know, I helped save the world, I saved the world. But one of the things is when Ant-Man is talking to Kang, Ant-Man says, well, I'm an Avenger. And Kang says, oh, I've fought them before. Have I killed you before? Which, of course, is a great line with him being a time traveler. Love that. The second is that in the Comic-Con trailer, Bill Murray actually says some lines where we see that he and Janet know each other. And like there might be something between them. So they trimmed that out as well, which I find kind of interesting. And the third thing, and maybe the most important, is that in the preview they showed one other villain. They showed MODOK. Now, MODOK, of course, is another big villain. Most of you are probably familiar with MODOK from the video game, the Avengers video game that's out right now, or the Hulu animated series. But for those of you who aren't, he's a former employee of Advanced Idea Mechanics, or AIM, named George Terrelton. I got to speed this up. We're almost out of time. Okay, so he's basically a Captain America villain created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And the thing is that it looks like they're going to throw that origin out. And what I'm hearing is that it'll actually be Darren Cross, who was played by Corey Stoll and was Yellow Jacket in the first Ant-Man movie. But if you remember how that ended, he got all shrunk down in a weird way because his suit got damaged. That's how we're going to end up with the guy with the big head and the little body in the hover suit. We're going to see him with the mask on, but that'll probably come off, and we'll get a more MODOK-looking version of him by the end of it. But I think it's going to happen is that Scott and Cassie are going to have to be dealing with Kang, and maybe Hank, Janet, and Hope will have to be dealing with MODOK, which makes a lot of sense because Darren Cross was more of a Hank thing than a Scott thing. So, plus MODOK would be part of the intelligentsia. We're getting the leader in Captain America New World Order. And I think the intelligentsia is going to start playing a bigger part, more than just the little thing we saw in She-Hulk. I think we'll find out there's a lot more behind it. And also, there's a lot of speculation that Scott may end up dying in this. I'm not buying that. I don't see Marvel killing off their characters. Yes, they did it in Endgame, but that was the end of the big arc. I don't think they'll start knocking any characters off, at least not Paul Rudd. Could we lose Hank or Janet? Yeah, I think we could. But I don't think we're going to lose Scott. So, MODOK is such a unique-looking character. When you see him, you never forget how he looks. That's exactly true, Slim. All right, guys. That was a cram-packed show, thanks to all the big announcements this week. So we'll talk more about the James Gunn, Peter Safran thing tomorrow. You guys have any questions at all, come on in. Stick around. The in-stores this week is tonight. Will be myself and Kyle and Jay talking the latest comics. Also, before that, will be Minute to Skim It with Miss Jen and her crew over at Space Cadets. So stick around for that. And have a great night. See you in a little bit.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.